So very good afternoon to all of you. My name is Ted Kun Ko. I'm the Program Director of the Global Business Program here in HKUST. And with me is Ms. Alice Hui, who is the Program Manager for this program. And we have the amazing Anson Wong, one of my favorite GBUS students, because she's one of the few who are here today. But she's going to share her life with you and very interesting things I should be sharing. And I think we do have a few other students helper who are with us today, right, Alice? Okay, good. So I think they will have the time, you'll have the chance to talk to them later. Well, I think we're going to have a breakout session, okay? So without any further delay, once again, a very warm welcome to you. And also, if there are parents who are here, it's good to see you here with your kids. We are going to just, for the agenda, what we're going to do today is to briefly give you some information about what Global Business Program is about, and feel free to ask any question that you have, and I'll try my very best to answer them. So this is once again, the specific program highlight, the agenda for today. I'm going to briefly explain to you the key features of the Global Business or the GBUS program, and then the amazing Anson will be sharing many very interesting things with you, and I can't wait to come to that part. And after that, we will have some questions about, I'll provide some information about the admission process, procedure, and take more questions if you have. So, during this presentation from now, if you have any question, feel free to raise your hands in chat, in the Zoom, or leave your question in the chat board, and I will try to take them. Okay. So a big question that you may have is, there are so many programs here in Hong Kong in HKUST. Why should you choose the Global Business Program? There are a few things, right, that I can highlight to you, but I think one of the key things that I want to say is that the GBUS program is a highly sought after program. It's because students and the graduates can be assured of the quality of the education that they're going to get in the classroom within GBUS. So one of the key things, and I think this is a very unique feature of the GBUS program, is that we put very good instructors in the classroom to teach the GBUS courses. So what you can see here on the screen is a list of our faculty who are currently teaching some of the GBUS courses. Many of them have years of experience in the boardroom, right? Many of them are very experienced in the industries. They are achieve a very high level in terms of their profession, and they are spending a lot of time teaching our students, about cases, about the industries, about the global development. So you get a lot of all this excellent teaching from our faculty, and many of them, in fact, all of them that you see on the screen, they also teach our MBA program, which is highly ranked in Asia and the world. They also teach, for instance, in our Kellogg HKUST EMBA program, which is really one of the best in the world for many years running. So, for instance, we have Professor Rao, who won the Professor of the Year award many times in our Kellogg HKUST EMBA program. Professor Stephen Nason, he is one of our top professor, highly sought after in our business school. And he actually won the Michael Gale Award, which is a university teaching award, right, here in HKUST. And all of them are teaching you GBUS specific courses. So I think one of the key highlights, answering the question, why should you think about entering GBUS, is that you really get top-notch education from the faculty that we put in place. Okay. Of course, I know a lot of you want to come to UST to have fun, to party. That for sure is going to happen, as Anson will tell you later. Okay, but after all this partying, I'm sure all of you are also thinking of getting a good job, right? Doing something that is meaningful, that is impactful, that is what you want. And the GBUS graduate, as you can see from our alumni network, is very well spread out across different industries, different sectors, doing very different things. Whether it's finance, consulting, technology, consumer, startups, NGOs, nonprofit, going overseas to do their masters, their PhD. We have all our alumni doing all these different things. So when you join GBUS, okay, what it means is that you are being plugged into a very diverse a very well spread out network that can really help you to pursue different areas, different careers, to give you information and insights. Okay, and this is something that we are very proud of, in GBUS. As the global business signify, what we try to do is give you, a lot of opportunities both in and outside class to enrich your global perspective of things. We have exchange, we have a study trip. I will skip this part because Anson is going to really tell you what she did. I think it's better for the student, right? For our current student to explain to you the fun thing that she experienced rather than for me to go through this. This next slide, I'm also just going to touch on in just 10 to 30 seconds because Anson is going to do this for me, right? So a lot of our students have a lot of outside classroom activities that really enrich their overall experience during their college studies, as well as equipping them with the relevant experience and skill sets and growth, right? To be in a better position when they are looking for jobs, when they're trying to pursue their career. So whether it is the events that we organize in our GBUS, classroom, right? We have leadership forums, we invite guest speakers, or whether we have sent our GBUS students participating in many case competition internationally, and many of them actually did a very good job. So as you can see on the screen in the middle, these are many of our winning teams, I think over the last 2 years. And you'll see some familiar faces. Miss Alice Louise, right? She has been coaching many of our teams, right? And they did very well, both locally and internationally. And if you look carefully enough, you will be able to spot our amazing Anson somewhere there, right? And then I'm sure Anson will also talk about some of our internship experience. I think this is something that you will want to pay attention to in the next few moments. Okay, it's very good. I can actually see a lot of questions coming in on chat. A lot of these are about the admission scores. Let me talk about this later part today, all right? I'm definitely going to cover this. So please bear with me and be a bit patient. There are also questions about the interviews and school-based, program-based admission. Let me touch on this later. So the GBUS program is sort of, it's very close-knit. Okay, it's very small, it's very compact. Every year, every cohort, we have about 55 students plus minus a few, right? And this program is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. So if you were to do your math, which I'm sure all of you are very good at, our alumni size is it's more than 700. Okay, it's small, it's growing, and what's important is that a lot of our alumni, again, as I mentioned, they're in different sectors and many different levels within the organizations, and they are providing a lot of help to our students as we speak in terms of mentoring, in terms of giving advices, in terms of opening doors and opportunities for them, right, to pursue their careers and their interests. Some information for you to consider. Again, I think if you're a parent with us right now, I think this slide is perhaps the most important for you as a parent, right? Now, if I were to encourage my daughter or my son to join GBUS, what can he or she get out of this after 4 years? So if you look at our graduate, and this is something that we're very proud of, because this is really the proof of how well we are doing as a program. So the class of 2021, that means those who graduated, just graduated this year, a few months back, about 47 of them, some of them differ, and so on. So about 47 of them who graduated, we have 50 over who graduated, right? But in our survey, we get about close to 50 responses. So if you look at where they are being placed, a lot of them are actually in the top-notch companies within the respective sectors and industry, whether it's consulting, banking, marketing, and technology, and so on. You can see that they are very well diverse and spread out, right, across different companies, different firms. And many of these are really top companies where they can really help fresh graduate to start developing themselves and to move forward. Even for those who have not graduated, the current students who are doing internships, for instance, okay, we have a large number of them who are doing maybe their second or even their third internship, again, across different sectors. So if you think about global business, it's very unlike the other business major that we have. The other business major like information system, accounting, finance, and so on, these are more functional, right? In terms of giving you the functional training. But for global business, we really want to impart in our students, I think, two main things that is being valued by companies and organizations today. The first is the global and the societal perspective, because as the world becomes more interconnected, become more globalized, having this global perspective is very important regardless of which company you join and what business function you're doing. And the second thing, as you can see from the list of companies here, that we really impart onto our GBUS students is a problem-solving skills. I think this is something that, for our students, you need to just remember, right? Whether you're going to join GBUS or not, I think that's secondary. But one thing that you want to consider as you are pursuing your undergraduate degree is that eventually you are going to be hired to solve problems, right? Whether it's a marketing problem, an accounting problem, a finance problem, information system problem, you are being hired to solve problems. So problem-solving skill is one thing that companies across the world, across the different industries and sectors look for. And this is one thing that the GBUS students are very good at, problem-solving. You will see why later if I have the time to go through some of the curriculum, right? We focus a lot on helping students to build up their problem-solving skills. Okay, this is one important, I think, hallmark of the GBUS program. The previous slide shows you where our graduates go. I think, as I mentioned, that is a proof of how good the program is. And this slide is to show you really some of our alums who really who are doing very well in their respective sectors. So on the top left corner, we have Jasper who graduated in 2013. So it's already a few years ago, and just I think 2 weeks ago, right? He was listed on the Forbes China 30 Under 30. Okay, this is a very exclusive list. He's currently in Oliver Wyman, and if I'm not mistaken, he's actually a partner there, one of the youngest, I would say, okay, in the consulting firm. Below we have Brianna, right? And she won the WWF International President Youth Award just I think last year. Okay, she's one of our international students who graduated only about 3 to 4 years ago. In the middle, we have Timothy, right? He was also on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list, for being one of the co-founder of a startup company here in Hong Kong, right? So as you can see, our students are really achieving, right, after they get out of the university as well, right, and pursuing whatever things that they are doing. Okay. So in short, why should you choose the Global Business Program? Okay. Just to summarize, I think what I have sort of mentioned, and to also give you, and I think also to, in a way, to lead on to what Anson will be sharing, I think one thing that you can be very assured of is that we try to ensure that you can get outstanding and excellent academic experience in the 4 years here when you're in our program. Okay? The top-notch faculty that we put in place, the top-notch classmates that you're going to have, the courses, the activities that we organize as part of GBUS, you are going to have a very enriched experience. The second thing is that the GBUS community, right, both our current students and our alum, is very close-knit. Okay, we have a lot of activities. We try to make different cohorts, interact and help them build their relationship and a network as they move on in our program. So by the time you graduate, hopefully, you will be part of this community that can really serve you well, both personally and professionally. And I think the last reason that really make us, stand apart from the other programs that you may be considering is this global exposure, whether it's the exchange programs, whether it's the overseas study trips, whether it is the global forums that we have within our classrooms. Right? This will really enrich and help you build the global perspective that's so needed, right, in today's society. So without any further delay, I think this is the highlight of today's sharing, where we have again the amazing Anson to come and share with you her life. Well, I wouldn't say everything about her life, but at least her life here in GBUS. So let me hand this time now to Anson.
Okay, thank you, Professor. Can you guys see my screen?
Now we can see them. Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. So thank you everyone for coming to this session. I'm very happy to see that more than 100 people are interested in this program that I'm currently in. And I would like to take this opportunity to walk you through, from the perspective of a student, why the Global Business Program is something that I do not regret choosing when I was in your shoes 4 years ago. So I think it would be great for me to just give you a very simple introduction about myself. So I'm Anson Wong, currently year 4, a student majoring in both global business and also finance. And in secondary school, I was actually from a local school, the Maryknoll Convent School in Kowloon Town. And I entered the program through HKDSE GBUS program direct entry. And I saw that someone was asking about the difference between program entry and school-based entry. And I guess Alice and also TK will answer more on that, but I was from the program entry stream. For my electives, I study physics, BAAS, which is business, and also geography, which also kind of showcase how chaotic and diverse I am as a person myself. And in UST, some of my notable experiences or student engagement include being the head committee in the HKUST case analysis team, the GBUS design and communications team, as well as a member of the business cohort community. And I will touch more on these fun parts other than studying in UST later. And last but not least, just some cliche fun fact about me interview question that I would like to answer is yes. People usually ask me the question, oh, you're Anson. I thought Anson is a name for a guy. And I just answer, yep, same Anson as Anson Low or Anson Kong from Mira. Yeah, that's the most fun part about myself currently after the boy band being really popular in Hong Kong. So I guess today for my whole sharing, a very good theme that I would like to continue on throughout the entire sharing would be uncertainties versus opportunities. I think for every student in this info session, or at least a majority of you, might have a question of what do I want to do with my life and uni, or even for a longer time span, where should be my next step? And also where do I want to be in 5 years? And actually it's the same for me, no matter it's for 4 years ago or for now. I don't really know what I want to achieve exactly in life. And however, I need to make a choice now because I need to choose which program to enter in or which uni to go to. So I was in your shoes back then, I made the choice to go to global business. And I think it would be great if I can put my life in the uni in a timeline as normal global business students do. So first of all, I think the most important uncertainty in June 2018 or even earlier is which program or uni should I go to in uni. So I think as a normal Hong Kong, or it's a very easy way to dissect is, should I go for medicine, business, law, or other majors or other subjects? And at that time, I wasn't very I don't really know what I want in life. So I want more flexibility and exposure. And that's why I chose to enter into the business program, because I think it would give me more flexibility to delay my decision in the later future. I will get back to you to whether this choice was right or wrong. And after I entered into uni, the second uncertainty that I had was in uni, people say there are 5 things that you should do. What should I really do in uni since I don't have that much time? At last, I chose to join CAD, which is the case analysis team, as well as the GBUS initiative team. And after making this 2 choices out of these uncertainty, what I got is first, a very good community inside global business. So on the left-hand side, you can see these are some official communication channel that you might be able to see on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or other platforms. And these are all worked by the design and communications team, where I'm a member of. And since I'm a person with very chaotic interests, so on one hand, I really like to be strategic to help businesses solve the problems. On the other hand, I also like to design stuff. I like to make app interfaces, infographics. And I find this team to be the perfect place for me to showcase my creativity and also Photoshop skills. And I feel really happy joining the team, meeting people all across years. So when I was in year 1, I was already able to connect with people in year 4 or even interview alumni to give us more insight as current students. And on the right-hand side, you can see this is actually a semester town hall that we did at the start of this semester. In the middle is TK as the big person in the program, and I'm next to him. So it showcases how I'm one of his favorite students in the program. And other than this like semester town hall that we get to meet with all of the students across years, we have updates about all of our lives. We also have some class meetings as well as coffee chat with the professor, where TK will pay for your coffee. And we get to like ask him about like different questions of life, of like work, or about him in general. So I think this is a very good community place that I've landed myself into through choosing global business. And just a side note, for student initiative team, we're actually very much self-initiated. So DNC is actually something that
小波成日話你冇咁諗住咪講 global business 喺外國冇 global business 單嘢啊？乜嘢咧就讀即係讀完之後
sorry, so maybe it'd be good.
finance 係啊。
You can unmute, sorry, you can mute yourself for the audience. You can unmute later when you want to ask a question, but if you can mute yourself right now, it will be helpful. Thank you.
Oh yeah, let's leave the questions for TK later. And then some other teams that we also have include some like external relations team where you'll meet them in different events, and also their like global exposure team where they organize study trips and global exposure events. And these teams are all initiated by students before or even now. So we get to support the program and make us very special when you compare to other places. And then the next thing that I would like to talk about in terms of community would be mentorship. So when I was in year 1 and year 2, in these 2 pictures, I was really like lucky to join the peer mentorship program as well as an alumni mentorship program. So on the left-hand side, we get to really connect with like more senior students to ask about what they've experienced throughout their junior years, no matter it's in job hunting, in life planning, or in other stuff, or even like sharing homework, etc. And on the right-hand side for alumni mentorship program, our program has put a lot of effort into connecting current students and past students in terms of how they really maneuver into the industry and give us more insight before we make any further choices when it comes to our life or any other area. So I think this is also another thing that is really great when it comes to GBUS. And onto a slightly more exciting part, as TK has mentioned, the career development in our program. So as mentioned, I'm a member of the case analysis team, and I was really happy and enjoying like solving problems for businesses. That's why I was able to represent HKUST to several international case competitions. So on the left-hand side, it's one in Brisbane in 2019, where when COVID was still not true, and I got to travel to Australia and really meet people there. And in the middle is TUBC, which was supposed to be occurring in Bangkok, but it was like turned into online because of COVID. But we're still able to come together to solve the case in Hong Kong and join with other teams through online means. And from all of this, it sounds like a very smooth journey, right? Although I have some uncertainty, I seem to be like the most successful person representing UST in every place. But actually, I lost both of these competitions. It's quite sad, but I still learn a lot. However, it brings to another uncertainty, which is other than losing these 2 competitions, I've also lost a lot of competition, like from all of these organizations. So should I continue with this interesting case solving life, or should I quit and start a new interest? And at that time, I really like asked my seniors, my friends for advice, and I look at myself. I figured I really genuinely enjoy crafting decks, knowing more about different industry and giving recommendation, public speaking or occasions, etc. So I chose to continue with this life, no matter if I lose again or fortunately win in the future. So really fortunately, I got to bring something home for HKUST in my 3rd ICC. So this is a picture that TK has shown you in the previous slide, and I'm on the very left. And I think the most important person in the team is the woman in the middle, which is Miss Alice Lloyd X, who is acting as our advisor for the whole competition. So this is one of like the highlight of my life in GBUS. And I think that also summarizes how I got to open a lot of doors after choosing the program. And I think the 3rd uncertainty that all of us will meet some point in life is, what do I want to do in the future in terms of career? So there are a lot of choices that I only try to simplify into 4 because I want to make the slides look nicer. But in general, I don't really know what I want to do, especially in year 1. I was still, like from my mindset, I was still a very much a high school student who doesn't really know what like going into a job is like in real life. So I joined a program which is called the Head Start program. It's a program organized by UST where they help you to hunt for some internship opportunity if you don't really know where you want to be. They give you different options. They provide fellowship, mentorship, etc. So I let them make my choice, essentially. And very fortunately, I've landed into my first internship in prevay technology. So in the middle, you can see me next to the logo. So it is a very good financial startup in Hong Kong aiming to serve the wealth management industry. At that time, I don't know anything about wealth management or how rich people manage their money or even how normal people manage their money. And I myself don't really manage my money that well when I was in year one. And from that internship, I learned so much about how to act professionally in workplace, how to really turn around assignments when you need to, how to manage expectation, or in general, more about the wealth management industry. So from that point in time, I grew interest in the finance world. And on the left-hand side, you can see I got a lot of support from GBUS courses. And this professor, second to the left, is actually Professor Milan Rao, as mentioned by TK. So he's a star professor in UST who has a very good track record in the EMBA program. And I took his course in value investing, where I got in touch with some of the most famous investing principles from Warren Buffett himself. And from this class and also other classes such as Global Business Case Studies by Professor Chris Doran and like some public service project, I got a lot of support from the program itself to learn more about knowledge, which I can actually put it in my future internship. So after getting this support, the next year in my uni in year 2, I actually go for UBS Wealth Management because I've already started my career in a startup perspective. I would also like to experience how it's like in a very well-established big corporate across the world. So I chose to go into UBS Wealth Management. And from that internship, I think it's much more complicated than I've ever imagined before in terms of how a large corp work together. A huge amount of time might be put into communication. As to when you compare it to startup, communication might be really fast because the structure is relatively flat. And in my last internship, which is in summer, I was able to explore not only the wealth management side, but also the asset management side in JP Morgan. So I think across my 3 years of experience in terms of career, I was really able to start from knowing nothing in the real career world into knowing at least a little bit into what I should be doing in the short-term future. And of course, I still don't know what I want to achieve in life in specifics, but for now, I think I'm really happy with what I've established as a person and learned from the program. And after like all of these very boring stuff that you might want to hear or might not want to hear, where's the last piece of the puzzle? And I think the last piece of the puzzle for the program, which set us apart, is the fun part. So without further ado, I would like to share a ton of pictures about me going on study trips. So as a student from the Global Business Program, I've been to Brazil, I've been to China and Shanghai and also Guangzhou, as well as Spain for my study trip experiences. So in general, for our long study trips in winter and usually January time, we get to have firstly company visit. So on the left-hand side is in Brazil. This company is called Natura, which is the mother company of ASO in Hong Kong as well as Australia. So before going to that, I don't really know about the mother company of ASO. And then I was able to go into their production facility, get some freebies from them, and to learn more about the Brazilian cosmetic landscape. In the middle, it's in Spain, whereby we visited the Amazon supply chain facility, and we get to know how they really sort orders together in the most efficient span. And we even talked to like the managers inside the entire facility. And on the right-hand side, in China, in Shanghai, we also visited Hema Xiansheng, which is a very recent unicorn inside the entire supermarket industry, where it really reinvented how people order and pick up or even wait for delivery to their home. So I think this is kind of able to summarize the amount of company exposure we can get in just 1 or 2 weeks in other places of the world. And the second part that comes into our study trip is academic exposure. So when people ask about my experience, oh, you've gone to Brazil, was it just fun and beach and or you just swim in the swimming pool? And the answer is not. we have a lot of academic exposure in all of these areas. So in Brazil, we're able to partner with FGV, which is a renowned business school locally. And we was actually having 1 week of lesson throughout our study trip. And this picture was taken when we had a talk from Mr. Charles Tang, when he was talking about how, as a Chinese, he managed to work in Brazil and in other places of the world, and how he finds differences between Hong Kong, China, as well as the South American landscape. And how can we, as like rising juniors in Hong Kong, adapt to this global landscape and to bring the most value to the world. On the right-hand side in Spain, we have been able to partner with IESE and ISADE, which is also renowned local business schools. And for instance, they're also very much focused in MBA studies. So in that experience, we were able to have some classes with MBA professors, gone into some case studies, and actually discussed Spain business landscape with them. So I think all of these are very valuable experiences that I will never get if I'm not in GBUS. And to be very honest, I've never imagined myself visiting the South America, especially Brazil, before joining the program, since it's much further away than any places I've been to in my lifetime. So I think that also opens another door for me. And other than like the company visits, academic exposure, we also had a lot of fun in all of these places. So in Brazil, we've been to the Beco do Batman, which is a graffiti street, which is really famous in the world. And we took a lot of pictures there. We've also been to like the touristy spot, Christ the Redeemer, and we even made our own xiaolongbao in Shanghai together as a team. And this is actually a picture of the xiaolongbao done by the instructor, because obviously the other xiaolongbaos are really ugly, but they're still very tasty. So I chose the best looking one for all of us today, just to uphold our image as global business. And then the next thing about cultural exposure, we've also been to a lot of museums as well as heritage sites on site. So this is a Juan Miró Museum in Barcelona, where we're able to visit right after we landed in Spain. On the right-hand side, we've been to the Palace in Madrid, which is also a very special place because in Hong Kong, we're not able to have these kind of castles, but in elsewhere, when we go for study trips, we're able to see a lot of stuff in only like a few days. So I think that also like summarizes how fun it would be in terms of cultural exposure. And the last bit would be food. So in Spain, we're able to have a lot of paella, a lot of tapas, a lot of calamari to fit into the Spain culture. And as a matter of fact, in year 2 of my, because I joined Spain study trip in year 2, I've also decided to stay behind after the trip to also visit Portugal, which is next to Spain. And in my trip, I've been to Lisbon and also Porto. And I would like to highlight this Cabo da Roca place, where it's the westernmost point of continental Europe. So essentially within my 2 years of study, I've been to quite a few continents in my study trips. So I think it's a very happy part. And I think I've also got another question is, how do we remain globally with COVID? So in COVID, I think everyone was forced to change into a new normal whereby everything was shifted online. So for example, for case competitions, I've been to virtually been to Bangkok and also Hungary. And all of these competitions are being shifted online where we have virtual exchanges. So it's still a very good global experience. And as a matter of fact, next semester, I'll be leaving all of you and going to the US for an exchange. So I think that's also one of the highlights of my entire uni, where I'm not able to share with you right now. So as like a summary, I think in the entire program or in my life, I think uncertainties actually bring a lot of opportunities for us, especially when we're this young. Global business actually provide a place for me to make mistakes, a lot of mistakes, ask a lot of questions, and try to come up with an answer of what I would like to do in my life. And when we look back into my entire university experience, I think what is the one thing that I did right throughout all of this is decision 1, whereby I actually chose to enter global business, which opens so many doors and let me put so many flags on this slide. So thank you very much for listening to my sharing today. And I hope to see you guys next year after I graduate in the program. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Anson. Thank you for the very insightful sharing. And I think this is a very personal sharing, which I really appreciate a lot from you. I think one thing that I want to mention, just to be on to what Anson shared, right? I think one of the things that really stood out in her sharing, it's not the global, the study trip, the Xiaolong Bao, that she mentioned, but I think the fact that she actually lost in a few competitions, right? And I think the last slide when she said that it's a good place to make mistake. I think for all of you who are thinking of of a college, of joining a university, you need to know that the next 4 years of your life in college, this is the best time for you to make mistakes, right? For you to experience failure, because it is through all this experience that you can learn how to pick yourself up, how to move on, how do you handle the stress, the disappointment. And once you can know this, I think you will really prepare you very well for the real world outside, right? When you are pursuing your career. So I think what Anson shared, and I'm glad she shared this, right? She didn't just share all the fun and the good thing, but she also shared her disappointment and challenges that she faced. I think this is a very real picture of what UST is, and especially what GBUS is about. Okay. I see that there's a lot of questions in the chat. I thank you for asking all these questions. Before I answer them, I'm going to go through all this admission FAQ, because a lot of the questions that you ask, the answers are going to be here, right? So do pay attention to what I'm going to share in the next few slides about the admission process and some of the statistics for GBUS. So with regards to GBUS, what is the admission requirement? So if you are a JUPAS student doing the DSE, the admission score that we look at typically is 48 or above, right? And this is based on the weight formula that we have. For instance, we double count the math. So you can refer to our website for more information about our score formula, but we're looking at 48 and above, okay? For the IB, usually it's 40 and above, right? That is what we expect the incoming students to have. There is some questions about the average. I think for the stats, I'm not sure whether they are out already, but I think if you were to refer to our website, you may get some of that. And then for the GCE, we're looking at the 3 A stars or 2 A star and an A, right? That would be sort of the minimum that we would expect. And then for SAT, the reasoning test would be about close to 1,500. Okay. Someone asked about what if you are a science student? Is there going to be any disadvantage? Do we give privilege to students who have done business before and so on? The answer is no. We like diversity. Okay, in our incoming students, we are it's very diverse. Some are from science, some are from the humanities, some are strong in language, some are strong in the quant, right? Even if you look at our graduate, that's why you can see the diversity as they go out to the working world. So we don't have any preferred subject, but what we want is students who are good, right? And you can be good in anything, so long as you are good, you are of high caliber, you have a passion for GBUS, we'll be happy to have a chance to talk to you. There are some questions about the interviews, right? The first interview, the second interviews, and so on. So interviews are a part of the admission process here in GBUS. There are usually 2 interviews that we do. One will be a group-based interview where we may actually have you work on some problem, some case, some questions for you to solve as a group with other candidates, for instance. But the more important interview is also the one-on-one interview with me and also sometimes with Alice, right? This is where we have the opportunity for you to understand you more as a person, and also for you to understand us more as a program. Some of you ask, what can you do? How can you prepare for the interview? What are the interview like, and so on. I can assure you that at least for the interview with me, it's actually usually more fun than stress, and there's really nothing much you can prepare except to be yourself, right? Some of the things that you can think about when you go for our GBUS interview, or for any interview for that matter, when you're applying to university, is maybe I would advise you to spend some time reflecting on your last, say, 1 to 2 years, to identify not just where you did well, but also to think about some of the struggles, the challenges, the mistake that you have made, like what Anson shared. Because it's true, sometimes communicating all these things that the program, the interviewers can know you more as a person. So what we look at as a person. And it's not just through the interview, but interview with your academic performance and so on. We are trying to see whether you are self-driven, are you highly motivated? Because this is important in university, especially in a program like GBUS, right? Where you need to take initiative, where you need to be motivated, where you are able to pick yourself up, from minor failures, and so on. We want to also see whether you have the analytical skill, right? So this will come out, sometimes in the group interviews where you're given a problem to work on. And also whether you're a team player. We can see some of this in maybe your CV, right? Some of the activities that you perform in school and outside school, as well as sometimes through the group interview. And an important thing is also the communication. I think this is an important part, for university students, right? Whatever major they're trying to do, communication is important. In GBUS, it's more so because, again, we're trying to build our students and develop their skills in problem solving. And one important aspect of problem solving is that you are able to communicate your ideas or your solutions to the client, right, to the company. So this is something that we do look at. Of course, right, I'm not asking that you are the best motivated student with the best analytical skill, who works well as a team leader and as a team follower, and who can communicate flawlessly, right? We are not looking for a person like this, okay? This is the reason why you're in university, so that we can actually train you, develop you, nurture you, and help you to grow in this area, okay? But you must at least be able to do some of these things well, and to showcase this in your application package. So this is something that I just mentioned about the interview format. There could be a group interview, there could be an individual interview, and how to prepare, as I've sort of mentioned already. Okay, just be yourself. I think this is what we really want when we are talking to a student, right, to an applicant. Okay, the interview timeline. So if you're a JUPAS student, the first round interview will be next year in May, and then the final round will be in late July after JUPAS results are after, right, you can after you make your choice, right, you can make a change of choices, so that, I think the final date will actually be announced to you during that time. So for the non-JUPAS students, for those who are doing the IB and so on, we have a rolling basis in terms of doing the interview. So it will start as early as late November. So if you're interested, do apply early, okay? Some of you, and especially if you're JUPAS, you may be thinking, oh man, the non-JUPAS, they're going to have the interview first. Does it mean they're going to take up all the spaces and so on? No, right? There'll be enough spaces to go around. Again, we're looking for very good students, whether you're JUPAS, whether you're non-JUPAS, it doesn't really matter. We don't have a fixed quota for each type, but we always have a very good balance of both types. So do not have to worry about how many seats will go to the JUPAS and the non-JUPAS. So how do we select the applicants? There are multiple rounds of interview. So our admission team from the business school will first look and screen your application profile, looking at your predicted score, statements, and so on. And then the eligible students will be invited, okay, for the interview by the GBUS program. Okay, this is usually how it goes. Okay, so for those of you who are in JUPAS, and you may be thinking, well, what if my JUPAS score is not that good, right? What should I do if I'm very interested in global business, but I feel that I may not be able to get in from a program-based admission? And Anson mentioned about program-based admission. Basically, it means that once you join UST, you are in the GBUS program. So this is a program-based admission. But in UST, we also have a school-based admission. That means you join the business school without any major, right? Without declaring any major or any program. And then you can go for the major selection, in year ones and year twos, right? And we do have seats, okay, reserved for students who are coming in through the major selection. So if you're not too confident about your exam results, the DSE results, the advice that I will give is that you apply to join our business and management first, right? and that means putting it as a second choice, GBUS as a first choice, BBA and M as a second choice. So if you cannot get into GBUS through the program-based admission, at least we can come in through the school-based and then apply for the major selection, after 1 or 2 years. And you may be asking, so what does it mean by coming in as a major selection student? Do I have enough chance and so on? Again, we have enough quota, right, for good GBUS, for good students to come in through the major selection exercise. The thing about the major selection exercise is that a greater emphasis will obviously be on your year ones, your grades in UST, right? So this will give you a chance basically to start afresh, and to build up your strength and build up your profile after you join UST. Okay. So these are the admission questions that we have. Let me maybe take some of the questions on the chat in case I didn't cover some of these things. So some students asked about the interview. I've mentioned that the difference between school-based and program-based admission, I've answered that as well. Okay, any specific extracurricular that would give competitive edge for students? Yes, in UST as well as in GBUS, we do have a lot of this. And Anson mentioned about the initiative team that she was in, right, doing the design and so on. This is a good way for students to get involved, to show leadership, and to also gain exposure, right? And sometimes when you're talking to companies, when talking to interns, internship companies, or working on a capstone project and so on, some of these things can actually help you to get into the ideal project or company that you want, right? So this is a way for you to build up some of the expertise, right, to give you a competitive edge. The average IB score for the 2021 intake, I do not remember offhand, but it's definitely, I think close to 42, 43.
Last year, 2021, our average is 43.
43, all right? And the minimum, again, is 41, for the conditional offer, right? The predicted score, I think, is 41 for you to be interviewed, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Right. Okay. The admission score for DSE, the lower quartile median,
I think from last year, just this cohort, the current year one, the low quartile should be 47 according to the HKUST weighted formula, and the median should be 49.
Okay, so if you recall, I mentioned about 48 plus. Okay, that's why you'll be somewhat safe if you were to achieve that level. Okay, is there a disadvantage for students that only study science? Absolutely no disadvantage. In fact, I think it's actually good because you will be able to have different heuristic, different perspective as you take the GBUS programs. And so long as you're good, so long as motivated, I think, okay, it doesn't really matter what you study in high school, right? Definitely ask about the opportunity for global opportunity for students during COVID-19. That's a very good question. Anson was very fortunate that she got to go to Brazil and Spain, and Australia before COVID hit. Unfortunately, we are still in COVID and we cannot overpromise what we can do. But as what Anson briefly mentioned, right, she'll be going on exchange next spring. So we are opening up our exchange, international exchange, once again. So long as the situation allows, we'll gradually do more of these things. So if you think about overseas trip, we may do that if the situation allows, all right? But having said that, we also, as a program and also as a university, I mentioned about problem solving, right? And we have been working very hard on solving some of this problem. So I think the last 2 semesters, we actually have a virtual exchange where students can actually take courses from overseas universities while they are in Hong Kong. So these are some of the things that we are doing. But again, a lot of all these things is outside the control of UST or even outside the control of GBUS. It depends on what the governments are doing, both here in Hong Kong and elsewhere. I can assure you, as and when we can, we will definitely go abroad, right? How many DSE students were accepted?
We accepted 18 in 2021.
Right. And the total vacancy, again, we have plus minus 55. Okay, that would be the number. Okay, there's a question about entrepreneurship journey. I think if you look at the slide, that I show, we have students who are doing startups. This is something that the GBUS students, a lot of them are actually doing startup. At least I know 2 or 3 students. They are currently right now having being part of the Cyberport and the Science Park incubation program. So GBUS students are doing that. USC as a whole is very also has a very strong emphasis in entrepreneurship and startup. I myself, I did a startup. So we have a lot of things going on. There's no time for me to tell you my set story of doing a startup, but if you have the time and if you join us, I'll be happy to talk to you about that. But one thing can be assured of is that the university as a whole and the GBUS program does have a lot of activities and support students in terms of their startup journey. Okay. All right, someone asked, say hi to the GBUS Tylo, I guess. So I'm not sure who the Tylo is, but okay. The score for conditional offers given last year. So I guess this is more for the IB students. So the conditional offer, if I'm not mistaken, if Alice is not mistaken, it is?
It should be 40.
40.
Conditional offer is at 40.
How many students could enter the program through major selection? It is more of the caliber of the students rather than the quota or the seats that we have. The most recent year 2s, how many do we have, Alice?
I think we have around 15.
Okay, so we have 15. And again, this is, there are multiple rounds, right? Every spring and fall, we do have a chance. You do have a chance to apply from for the major selection. And this 15 is, yeah.
In general, we accept on average around like 20 students from the major selection program.
Right. So the 15 is only for the fall. No, this yeah. The
yes,
spring.
that's spring. Yeah.
Spring, yeah. Okay. SPN. I think this is the school principal nomination. Well, this is something new that we're doing this year. Alice, do you want to provide some info?
So for the SPN, we still have to work with the university to sort out more details on the scoring and everything. But we in general, what we are looking for in the students is similar, whether you're in the SPN or not. So we want diversity in the program, and we want to have students with different capabilities or strength to join us. So we will get back to you later with more when we have more details with the SPN.
Right. I think there's about the interviews. If the first interview is satisfactory, we will have this, as I mentioned about the interview, we have basically sometimes 2 rounds, okay, depending on whether you are JUPAS or whether you are the IB, right? But usually there's 2 rounds. The format for early interview, post DSE interview, well, as I mentioned, right, you had a group interview, at the individual interview, and usually this will be done at the second round after the release of the scores, right? One question about the difference between UST GBUS and CU HK and HKU GBUS and IBGM. On this global business program and IBGM, all these are, I would say, very good programs in the 3 very good universities here in Hong Kong. I think this is something that is similar, right? Among the 3 of us, we all want very good students to join. The difference, I think, will be better for you to look at the 3 programs on your own to study what we offer. There could be some differences in terms of the exchange, in terms of the courses. I think just one thing that I want to highlight, okay, for that you may want to explore, right, so that you can compare differences. First of all, again, one thing that you want to look at is what are the courses they are doing and they are taught by who. As what Anson mentioned, about Professor Rao teaching her the value investing, right? This is a new course that we actually introduced in GBUS just last spring. And Professor Rao, he usually do not teach at the undergraduate level, right? Usually it's the EMBAs, the master's level, the executive level. But he was willing to teach our GBUS, develop a course for GBUS because he knows how good the GBUS students are. The professors that we have, teaching on GBUS program, again, they are very rich. They're very rich experience in the boardroom, which they can bring into the classroom to really help the students to grow. So I think this is one thing that we stand out. The other thing that you also want to consider is looking at the alumni network and the graduate placement, right? Where they go and so on. I think this will actually give you a much better insights into the differences between any of the programs. Okay. How should you prepare for the interview? That's what Catherine asked, and I already mentioned there's really not much you can prepare per se, right? You can't really game, but be yourself. And really think carefully about what you have done, and not just an achievement, but also maybe the setback, the failure. I think this would be a very good way for the programs to know you. And I want to mention at this point again that I personally am not looking for the most successful person, a student, right, who has no failures, with no setback, with no mistake, right? Because first of all, it's unrealistic, and second of all, when these students come into a program, I can be sure, I can guarantee that there is going to be some challenges, and I'll be worried, okay, how would this person be able to pick herself up or pick himself up? So no, don't think about, you have to be the perfect candidate, right? Just be yourself and tell us about your passion. Okay, exchange plans, I've mentioned that before, when the situation allows, such as now, going forward, we'll have the exchange program back in place. A-level math and further math, are there two A-level subjects? I think there are two, right? Alice?
Yes.
The A-level math and further math, I think we count them
two
as
subjects.
Two, right?
Two subjects.
Okay. And okay, in 2024, admission requirement 2024, in case it doesn't have liberal study, when we will update the calculation for the scores. I think this will be done at the university level rather than the program level. So we will actually update all these things, and do check the university's website for how they're going to do the score calculation and the admission requirement that they put in place. Okay. All right, the GBUS program and the Green Finances are very good programs. In UST, the Green Finance is new for those of you who do not know, and the first intake will be the next academic year. Yeah, I'm not sure about the Green Finance, but for GBUS, we actually consider students who put us as a first choice. All right. If you are interested in both, I think you need to make a choice. This is something I think like what Anson showed, right? It's important, right? Back in year one, she has considered medicine, law, business, or others, right? But so this is something that you need to think very carefully. You may want to also talk to your parents and your seniors in school, and feel free to talk to us and talk to my friends in the Green Finance to advise you, right? What type of career or which program may be more suited for you based on your personality, based on your passion, based on your career aspiration. All right. So feel free to talk to us and we can have a conversation about this. Okay. What do we want to see in a personal statement? Well, we just want to know you more, right? I don't have a set format what I want to see. I just want to know you more as a person, to know more about you as your character, your aspirations, your passion. I think this is something that you want to mention in your personal statement. Okay. Is it true that IB student with a previous score of 43 plus will be invited to a second round interview? Well, the 43 plus, the previous score is but one criteria that we look at, right? So having a good score definitely would help, but I wouldn't say that it will guarantee you anything. Just like having a slightly lower score, may not write you off completely, right? So what I encourage you is that at this point, do your best in your exams. It will definitely help, okay? But it's no guarantee because we're looking at the whole package. Are students required to learn a foreign language? For now, yes, right? Foreign language is a requirement, but other required courses and the curriculum, right, they are subjected to changes. So for every cohort, you'll be slightly different. But I'm not sure whether you're excited or you are afraid of learning a foreign language. I think you do not have to be worried. You do not have to worry too much because it's going to be fun, right? And it will help when you're going on exchange when you're doing the overseas trips. The BAAS scholarship offer. Alice?
You need to check with our admission team with the scholarship. Yeah.
Okay.
We do not have the information in hand.
So the DSE students who hasn't been a leader, I think leadership is definitely something that is important, but I wouldn't say that we only want leaders. What is more important, I would say, is your ability to work in a team, right? That's one thing. And if you think about teamwork and leadership, it does not have to be just within your school, right? It can be outside. It can be in, let's say, some association or organizations that you join. So long as, I think what is important is to not just focus on your grades, right? But do other things, right? To demonstrate your wholesomeness, okay? So whether it's leadership, whether it's your involvement in nonprofit, whether it's being a good sports person, and so on, right? I think this is more important so that people can have a much bigger picture of you. Okay, what's the chance of getting an interview and getting in after an interview? Well, unfortunately, I don't have the statistics to say that, but I would say your chance definitely increases as you get in the interview and get for a second round and so on. But again, there's no guarantee. What we want is to make sure that you are a good fit for us, but also we are a good fit for you. I have spoken to interviewed a number of students where, you know what, I told them, it may be better for you to pursue these other programs because it's more in tune with your aspiration, with your passion. So this is more like a something for you to take note of, right? Getting into interview is definitely good, definitely helps you to get into GBUS, but it is there's no guarantee. 15 for what? So if I'm not mistaken, the 15 is about 15 students who got in last spring after the major selection interview. That means they came in through the school-based admission and then applied to GBUS through the major selection exercise. Okay. Is M1 considered as one subject?
Elective.
Elective. How many conditional offers will be given out each year? There's no fixed quota. It depends on the students' caliber for that cohort. Okay. Typical condition for IAL. IAL refers to
should be A level.
The GCA level type.
This one I am not sure.
Yeah, we are not sure, but the GCA level, I think I've shown earlier, is about 3 A stars or 2 A stars, 1 A. But yes. IAL, maybe let us check and get back to you. Okay. Some students ask about A star, A star and double A. I think again, there's different factors to consider, right? Grade is one thing, but there's also the interview. So we do not just give offers based purely on the grade. So we are looking at the overall package. For non-JUPAS applicants, would there be 1 or 2 rounds of interview? I would say 2, right? The first is done at the school level where they have a screening and they look at the KIRA sometimes, right? And then the second round would be the GBUS interview, right? For the IB students, for instance. And I think the GCE as well, right? Okay, what is the main difference for GBUS? So the thing about GBUS, as I mentioned, okay, the other business programs, majors like IS, okay, let me just take IS because I'm actually an IS professor as well, okay? If you think about IS, it's a functional area. So you are being trained to build up your knowledge, your expertise in IS. Whereas for GBUS, it's really something that, as I mentioned, we want to impart students with this global perspective and the problem-solving skills. So when you go out and tell people that you are GBUS graduate, this is something that they can expect from you. So instead of doing very functional things, okay, you will learn very like strategic case analysis. You have a lot of chance to do work in teams, to present your solutions, to solve problems, and so on. So what we do in GBUS is that we actually encourage our students to actually do an additional major, right? It is not required, but they can do an additional major. Like for Anson, okay, she chose finance, right? If I'm not mistaken, right? She didn't choose IS. I'm a bit disappointed, but she chose finance. That's fine. We have students who do IS as an additional major. We have students who do computer science as a second major. That's outside the business school. Some students take a minor in, say, entrepreneurship, in psychology, in some other things. So the GBUS program is very flexible, right? I think this is one. In fact, the other major as well, they're also flexible. You can also take IS and then finance as a second major, for instance. But again, when you're doing that, you're building more of the functional expertise in these two areas. When is the deadline for non-JUPAS JUPAS students?
November 19.
Okay. Bonus marks for good interviews or applications. Again, the school principal nomination, we have to get back to you. That will basically be at the university level. I think at the program level, we don't have I don't give bonus marks. So there's no advantage, but more importantly, no disadvantage, right, to any students who are coming in. So long as you meet the criteria that we set to come into the interview, everybody is basically on par, right? Based on your interview performance, based on how good a fit we think you are for us and we are for you. For IB, will AIA math affect your chance of admission? No, right? So long as you get a good score, I think we will be celebrating with you, and I think that would be a good chance. Any academic requirement for school nomination direct admission scheme? I think
we need to get back to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, any other questions? It's good. No, we get a lot of all these questions. Did I miss anything? Does any parents want to ask anything? If not, Alice?
Yes.
Do we have a breakout for them?
No, we don't.
No. All right.
We don't.
Okay. So I will hang around for a while more, and maybe Anson will also hang around for a while more, just in case any one of you want to say hi or want to talk. So for the rest of you, if you have no further question, thank you for spending your time with us. I hope you have a very good insights into what we're looking for, what the program is about. I wish you all a very good night. Enjoy the weekend, and have a very good exams, right? That is coming, right? We wish you the very best. Thank you very much.